वेलकम टू अनदर वीडियो। और आज जिस सवाल के बारे में मैं बात करने वाला हूँ वो अक्सर जब आप मॉक टेस्ट शुरू कर देते हैं, पहले कुछ मॉक्स देते हैं, जब आपने अपनी स्ट्रैटेजी पूरी पुख्ता नहीं की होती एंड यू आर ग्रैपलिंग विद वेरियस कॉम्बिनेशंस एज टू व्हाट यू शुड ट्राई आउट एंड व्हाट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट, तब ये सवाल अक्सर बहुत सारे कैट एस्पिरेंट्स के जहन में आता है कि स्पीड ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है या एक्यूरेसी। Obviously, all of us know that both are extremely important. It is not feasible कि किसी एक को बिल्कुल कम करके दूसरे को बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ा के आप कहीं पहुँचेंगे, right? You need minimum amount of both. You need a threshold of both. But if you have to be a little bit inclined towards one of these, then what should that be? So we'll try and answer this question on the basis of, let's say, what intuition would say, and also on the basis of some simple data crunching, and both the answers pretty much align. Let's first take up the feeling way or the intuitive way. What is a little more important. You can compare your test taking with driving, for example. So in driving there are two parts to it. One is the control that you have over what you're driving. The second is the speed at which you're driving. A sensible thing, of course, is that you always ensure a high degree of control, and then you try and increase the speed as much as you can while maintaining a reasonable amount of control, right? आप बहुत तेजी से अगर चलाने लगेंगे, ड्राइव करने लगेंगे और आपका कंट्रोल बहुत पुअर है, the result would be disastrous, as it would be in the case of CAT as well, where due to the negative marking you will end up scoring a very high very high quantity of negative marks if your accuracy is really poor. So intuitively, the first thing, the more important thing is accuracy or control, and once you ensure a minimum level of that, you try and increase your speed as much as possible while remaining close to that level of accuracy. That's how you maximize the score, right? Let's look at the second way also, which is more in terms of the numbers or data driven. As I said, example लेते हैं, let's say 100 questions, I'm taking 100 for the sake of simplicity, and let's take two cases. One of these cases you have 80% speed and 60% accuracy. In the other case you have the reverse, so you have 60% speed and 80% accuracy. Do you end up with the same scores or different scores? Now the entire video is essentially based on MCQ questions which have a negative marking. For data type questions or non-MCQs, of course, your speed should be simply maximum, because there are no negative marks. That's like a free hit, as I've spoken about in some of the other videos as well. So it's excluding those few questions, the majority of the CAT questions or the other MBA entrance examination questions where there is a negative marking. Typically you have a +3 for the right answer and a -1 for the wrong answer. So as I said, let's take an example, 100 questions. So you have 80% speed, so you attempt 80 out of those 100 questions, and you have a 60% accuracy. तो जो आपने attempt किए उनमें से 60% आप सही करते हैं. 60% of 80 is 48, तो आप 48 questions सही करते हैं और 32 questions गलत करते हैं क्योंकि आपने total 80 attempt किए. तो what's your score? It will be 48 into +3, that's 144, minus 32 into 1, which is the negative marking for the wrong answers. So that's 32. So 144 minus 32 is 112. So when you have a speed of 80% and an accuracy of 60%, you end up with 112 out of a maximum of 300 marks, because we talked about 100 questions. Let's take the other case where you have the reverse data. So you have 60% speed and 80% accuracy. इस केस में क्या होगा? आपने 60 सवाल अटेम्प्ट किए, 80% एक्यूरेसी है, तो 48 करेक्ट है पहले की तरह. You can sort of sense where this is going. So your score would be 48 into 3, which is for the correct answers, minus 12 into 1 for the wrong 12 answers out of 60. So you get 144 minus 12. So 132 is the score you end up with. But just by swapping or exchanging two random numbers of speed and accuracy, you see that you end up with a higher score because errors are punished by a negative mark. Now that does not mean that you aim for 100% accuracy and take your speed to 0. What will happen in that case? you end up with a 0 score as well, because if you attempt 0, even if your accuracy is 100, which basically is redundant, you end up with a score that's 0. But on the other hand, let's say your speed is 100 and your accuracy is 0, you end up with minus 100. Even in the extreme case that you have a 0% accuracy and 100% speed, so you attempt everything but get everything wrong, you have minus 100 marks. Or in the other case where your speed is 0 but your accuracy doesn't come into play, but let's assume it's 100% or whatever, but because speed is 0, you get, in the worst case, you get 0 marks. So even in that extreme scenario, just speed at the cost of accuracy brings you down. What's the best way then? It's perhaps to find the right balance. In my experience, if you get a certain number of questions correct with a reasonable degree of confidence in a section, then it makes sense. Take a little bit of risk and push yourself on the speed part, and maybe even when you can eliminate one option or two options and increase the probability of getting a few more questions correct, then that probably gives you the right amount of layering on top of what is more or less assured or expected through that solid, steady first layer of attempts, where you are reasonably sure कि पहले वाले layer में कि इतनी accuracy तो आ ही जाएगी. So this is like you play 80% of the shots with great control. Of course, cautiously, may not be 100% control, but significantly good control. And in the remaining 20% of the cases, you are taking a calculated risk in order to up your strike rate or in order to increase your score. So that's the way I would look at it if I were in your place. But of course, that's something for you to see depending upon what your natural ability and inclination is and what is working for you. This is just relatively in the order of priority. Where does accuracy lie vis-a-vis speed? Hopefully this has given you some food for thought, something that you can probably incorporate in your test taking strategy here on, in terms of trying to find that right balance between speed and accuracy. Of course, there is somewhat of a trade-off involved. Typically, on a tougher test, you should probably look at a lower speed and higher accuracy, and vice versa. I hope that's something you can build upon. If you think it made sense, it was useful for you, do ensure that you share it in comments, press the like button, and share it with your friends who might be grappling with similar strategy problems in their mocks at this juncture of their CAT preparation. That's it for now. See you soon again in another video. Bye for now. Take care.